How I feel about Jumei, full video. So a lot of fans are wondering how I felt about Jumei because I said I hated her in one video and I loved her in another video. So Jumei is the most I put into her character in Nas because he represented a time in America where we were all supported by an imaginary friend named Yumi, and it was so bad to the point where this girl literally every single girl wanted to dress up like Yumi, wanted to be Yumi. It didn't matter if she had blonde hair, everybody wanted to be Yumi. All because I was a super rap star from grabbing ass at a convention, and everybody followed me since then. They're wondering when I was gonna get a job, and they kept on following me. It didn't matter, so I started watching Koliyoko on repeat, and I'd always get high and watch Koliyoko, and they would always make rumors about me saying, why does he enjoy the dark internet? Why is he literally watching an American cartoon and he's not, begging? Because you have to have a higher understanding if you're, my age and you're still able to watch a cartoon without being insecure. Like, you have to, have something to compare it to. So I was watching Koliyoko every day, wondering why it has so much to do with, domestic culture and, being sheltered, also, rape, because I got falsely accused for a predator. Like, they falsely labeled me a predator before I went on my Koliyoko marathon, and it was crazy because I was thinking about the girl I was grabbing, and my girl, Henya Hu, she also looks like Yui. So it was a lot. There was a lot on my plate. So that year they were trying to compare everything to 8th grade. So 2021 started and I was working on the Valentine's Day special. Jumei was, mandatory because a Yumi character, because how much he was a part of pop culture at the time, she needed to be in a Valentine's Day special. But also because I like Yumi myself, it was ever gonna be, Yumi and Nan, so name would be Jumei, because I wrote her the same way as I wrote, Viado, Zofio, and Kuwabanga. So that's the base of her, but I expanded on her from my nod to Koliyoko. Knowing that Koliyoko comes from a domestic household and talks about really real life issues where it comes to boarding school or why children have to stay safe and not raped, I've helped a couple of those students survive, including Marissa Paloma. I had to make sure I went the maximum where it came to writing for a Valentine's Day special, so I couldn't let anybody down. So I've recognized that Koliyoko's, a lot of the character design is based off the musical group Gorillaz. Like Darovia and Yumi both have long sleeves and look like they come from a garage band called the Gorillaz. And so I had a friend in junior high that used to do this move with his hands, and it was cartooning. His name was Randolph. So while I was, playing with Yui, my imaginary friend, not getting into trouble, staying away from gangs when they were trying to false label me again and again and again, I was a master of cutting just like my friend Randolph in junior high, and it got me really, really into the dance room. The dance, in 2020, when I went to Level Up Expo, I got to this dance ball where a guy, and I was training with Yui the entire time before I got on the plane, but that was when everybody was digging her, at the time. So all the way up to then, what I decided to do was, it was my goal to actually do that dance battle right. The entire 5 months of training, they were waiting for me to come to a dance, so it wasn't anything stepped off. So Randolph was supposed to be there, and Randolph ended up flaking. So I ended up going literally and having the best match of all time, but it was at the time where, we could apply it, because at the time there was cringe, and that's where Lily, and that year is where I ended cringe, because I was tired of people spamming this easy entry fee I had to put on for Jumei when I wrote the Valentine's Day special. Literally, she was my favorite character. First off, Yumi was my favorite character from Koliyoko when I was a little kid, so I went all out in the writing. That was 200% of my writing. So her full character is, someone who's a jack of all trades, who knows how to deal with her game, because she was introduced to her game when she was young, yet she still had to go to school. She dated somebody who was an anti-hero called Anti-Zero, and she also, dates the current character of Nans, Tito. Tito is 13 and used to be in a gang, and Anti-Zero used to, go out with Jumei, and Anti-Zero met Jumei on a plane. So she knows everything about being mature and shit. She has a vibrant personality that you can take it this way, that way. She's both punk rock and hip hop. Now let's get down to the real nitty gritty. What I don't like about Jumei. I wrote her to be multi-dimensional, so yeah, I both hate her and love her. I love her as a character because you can't misinterpret her, because specifically wrote her to be more dominant, so you couldn't take her as punk rock. But when people like Brianna and everybody just watching, everybody can fucking say, oh, Zaf's my favorite character, oh, Jumei's my favorite character. Of course Zaf and Jumei are your favorite characters. The beginning of last year was brutal. I can just fucking look at the Valentine's Day special, it'll be better than 8th grade, but that doesn't outweigh what these fucking people are doing. It pissed me off to the fullest, because it made me recognize why, this world is so fucked up, because I was so ahead of my time it wasn't even funny. So out of nowhere, there's this guy going to the mall, and now there's this new hip sensation with this comic on the street that looks like Scott Pilgrim, and everybody's on it, including Rihanna. Whoop-de-doo. And you know what? There's a catch-22 to that. Because I was hip-hop before all that, I made sure I wrote Jumei more hip-hop. That's why she was talking hella shit. And Cole Yoko and Yu-Gi-Oh! GX taught me how to write. So it was the original way I wrote Core Banger, but I added all the dialogue for Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and Cole Yoko to make sure it was hit. I'm like, I'm gonna make this more interesting because dialogue is what, My Hero Academia Heroes Rising lacked. I put emphasis on the dialogue. I already knew how to make the fight scenes. I already knew I was gonna beat me by the fight scenes alone, but I just added the dialogue just to put the icing on the cake. And plus I did also to make it better. That's also a part of why I made Nozbo Social. I made Nozbo Social on purpose because I wanted all the anime to learn from their mistakes, and that's why we currently only have slice of life anime, no nerds, and not complying to you. We're making sure that anime stays pure. We're watching shit like Maruka-chan, Pride of Orange, all that. Get with the program. And did so it wouldn't be so bad, so it wouldn't be like if Gabaya's original dialogue was, I'm gonna save Candy no matter what. I will join families if I have to. If you have family powers and all too, we can join together to find a solution. Enough with that Forrest Gump bullshit. Like the new Gabaya. Getting into trouble with slapping holes in the butt. He fucks up and then he comes right back. And that's also a part of Dark Game. The Dark Game community, that's also a part of my audio program. Also to adapt to modern day. There's this thing that the Valentine's Day showed you about dating and dialogue. This is all about Jay and Georgia, and the reason why I mentioned harems and Krista Elephant statue is because there was a flaw in America where we thought we could live the TV life where we could grow up and only pick one girl and that girl will be our wife, and ended up recognizing that was a flaw in society because we ended up making, the relationships that were equivalent wives with multiple women, and that's why it's very important to recognize why there's a harem and non, why there's 3 girls and better and not one. Part of how society changed, and Cursor Elephant statue is referencing that. You can watch the Valentine's Day special 1,000 times and you'll never know the Easter eggs, and Jumei is the most complex character in the Valentine's Day special, but she's not the most complex character in Non, which is why I love her. To be real, even though I made her a biggest distraction, she's nothing compared to Gabaya, she's nothing compared to Bella, and she's nothing compared to Zofio. Shit, she's not even shit compared to Tito. That's the shit that I keep inside, and that's another reason why that year was very stressful for me, because I know that specifically, and that's the thing, and holding on to that secret is real, and I'm wondering, like, really, why these people keep on trying, because there's something and something, and, when gang members, or, when everybody feels something, and I kept it secret for so long, I'm like, why do you think they have a chance, like, to win? And that's the shit that I was hiding. So, Jumei and Dash blew up at the mall, and I ended up loving it because I was able to interact with people, even though it was a shitty concept. I didn't like how you can be hooked to something, how you can misinterpret her, but that's why if you watch Emerald Island, it actually shows you that Jumei is political. She's based off, how a gangster, how black people are both, intelligent and street smart at the same time because we come from the strongest gene. She's referencing race and agriculture in Emerald Safari. That means she knows the ins and outs of stereotypes, and she knows about the ins and outs of our races to a point where she can flip it at will. Therefore, she is more black than punk rock. It's implying that Jumei has intelligence is that if she is community college level, and that's why she's always climbing on Tito, because you have to be a certain amount of, intelligence in order to maintain a couple in American society. What she said, Emerald Safari not only defines why she is hip-hop, but why she is also a college student. So if you didn't know, Jumei can dance, and she's also an intelligence user. She gets some of her little robots that come out of her sleeves. She wears both red, and she has, star accessories on her black hair, red tips, and they both represent 2 gold stars. I was tired of drawing Death the Kid. I drew 2 lines that resemble stars instead, and just to try something new, just because I was tired of using the same character designs, and Brianna was all over it. So it might have been gay knowing that she was a part of the, community that was just a part of the bandwagon. It was a new cool thing on the street. Later on that year, I recognized why that was the best decision in order to get her involved, because it wasn't just that movie, it was a Demon Slayer movie too that got her hooked. She watched both of those several times. But that's why I hated Jumei, because what it was is, it wasn't even fucking Jumei at the part. Jumei was blown out the water as soon as Jumei came to the scene. And what was the best part about that is I remember the whole thing where I beat Jill in a dance battle when I made the bet. So it wasn't a revelation me to get girls, but it was a revelation, to actually go to a con regularly. So after I won the battle at level at episode 2020, I asked Yumigo if she wanted to go to the dance with me based off the one Kolioko episode, and so that's what inspired me to put Jumei in the manga.